Today, we are very happy to welcome Fernando Torquatto, a beauty artist and creative director whose work spans editorials, runway, and celebrity imagery. Welcome, and Fernando is also a jury and member of Flying Solo Fashion Awards. And yeah, today we're gonna talk about the industry, about the fashion awards, and about Fernando himself. Fernando, welcome.
Thank you so much. So I'm very happy to be part of this project. Actually, I know you for a long time, and I think it's amazing idea to this award, because always it's very important to recognize people who are very talented and has a special way to work in the industry, because I think we are growing. I started 30 years ago, and now everything is different. In a special moment to recognize these people, these new artists.
Absolutely.
So, Fernando, we're going to jump in and start some questions. People from outside of the fashion industry often see makeup as something that just happens during a photo shoot, but in fashion editorials, actually, it completely redefine how an image is perceived. So, how do you personally see the role of beauty in visual storytelling today?
I think every artist has his part, of course, and everything is very important. But for me, honestly, it's the soul of the photo shoot, the beauty, the way that we work with the models at first, we are more close to the human component. And for me, it's the heart and the soul of the photo shoot. Because if the model or the artist and the actress or actor doesn't feel comfortable, they will don't be in the best way your work, And so I think we have this power. Of course, we have to pay attention in everything. It's something that you have to work together. But I know inside myself that I am the soul and the heart of the photo shoot.
Incredible. And when you start working on a look, what guides you first, your first decision? Is the mood, styling, the character, or probably something else?
I think at first the mood, right? Because the art director usually chooses the mood, and of course you have to do more formal researches because we have so many things to do that kind of research. But I think I truly believe that is more about something that I have inside myself, my experiences that I have living all this time of my life about movies, about fashion magazines, about even my feelings about something, people around the streets. And for me, the magic happens when you are a beauty professional, when you bring from inside of you these elements, these components, because you make the result more special, not only a formal or very professional, and even something that comes from a talent person. It's more. I think when somebody call you an artist, you have to be more than a great professional. You have to be somebody that can inspire everything in the set.
So, Fernando, as we've been discussing, we understand that the fashion imagery is deeply collaborative. Photographers, stylists, art directors, you already mentioned. Where does the beauty artist sit within that creative structure? And also, you already talked a little bit about this, but can you go a little bit in depth and give us like some examples of how you see the beauty artist on a photo shoot being like the soul of the project?
I think the most important thing is about the respect, right? Because you have so many professionals, all of them has then everybody is able to create with those particularities, imaginaries, your image, your perfect image. But I think that fusion has to happens because otherwise you don't have a collaboration thing, You have only people think in different ways, and sometimes it's difficult. Everybody can do by yourself the best, but in the end, you don't have that magic, because this for me happens when somebody has a difficult to respect the other. That's why I think the most important thing, and of course, you do your part, researching, doing your best as a professional. but you have to look to each other to understand and to respect and to work together. And sometimes it's not the person in charge of the created thing. Sometimes you have something about the ego, that's something that's very difficult in every situation in life. But sometimes that person in charge, they are too much inflated by their ego. And that's why the others has to be more close to understand, to respect each other, and to get the best results, And of course, even I think it's possible to inspire that person in charge of the work, to make the vibe really nice, and to everybody can do their best.
Great. And what does the strong collaboration look like between beauty, styling, and photography?
Now it's very important, because each of us can understand about every of these things, because for me, a good photographer understand about makeup. The makeup artist has to understand about light, and the same about angles, about the stylist, because if you have something with too much volume down the body, you have to understand the way that the camera has to go to the model. So each of us has to understand a little or a lot of everything. That's why I think it's very important, the communication, because each of us, of course, are doing our job, but and we sometimes can lose or don't pay attention in some specific points. And if you're talking about the vibe is good and the respect is around, we can how can I collaborate with each other so much better,
So, have you ever had to defend a beauty decision on set? Like, have you ever had to balance this collaboration with your own vision?
No, for sure. I had, because, for example, when you work specifically with celebrities, sometimes you know better about that person than the photographer, because the makeup artists or the hairstylists are more close. When sometimes you have more time with them than the photographer. Even if you know somebody for the first time, and even the top models, right? If you have this celebrity thing around, and I had to tell, of course, in an amazing way, because I'm lucky because I have this voice. It's very soft, and it's more easy to convince the people. But I had to do, because sometimes that light, that not soft, the opposite of soft light, sometimes shows too much the pores.
Brutal.
Yes, it's too much brutal in the face.
When the light is too strong.
Yes, exactly. And I had to say to the guy, yes, I know that you want something like a Helmut Newton flash, but with her, it's not going to work, because she's 45, and try to do something similar, but with a little soft finger between your light and her. About concept, because to understand about the concept, I think it's not enough only to read about it on the books, or if you have to do something next week, you see 3 or 4 movies about this mood, I think it has to be something that you have anyway, it has to be part of your life. That kind of research, has to be more organic. That way, it's more easy for me. For example, when I start to work, I used to watch old Hollywood movies with my mom. I have 8 brothers, and I the younger, and so I watch movies, and she telling me about that movie stars, and many stories about that girls. So when I start to work in the beginning of the 90s, 93, 94, I think the fashion is all about that century, right? It was the last decade of that century, and the 20s, the 30s, 40s, everything was in fashion that time. And when somebody, a stylist or photographer, I would like to do something like Brigitte Bardot. I didn't have to look in the magazines, photos, because Brigitte Bardot was inside me, yes. And all these women from the last century is inside me now. So that's why I think they can believe more in you if you show that you have this interest about beauty, if you have more inside you. And in that way, for me, it was very easy. I became famous in that industry with 1 year working, because I was different in some point, you know. I had a nice way to talk and to convince them. And in most of this, I had all this, that century inside me as a reference.
So, Fernando, besides the movies that you used to watch with your mom, what else helped you to develop your own aesthetic and language? Were there were any other influences outside of fashion that shaped it besides the movies?
Yes, the movies for sure. Until now, I try to do my life a movie, you know, a movie scene. But I like that magic, you know, and I think we can make that magic. And but for sure, the movies, because if you look until now, the fashion, I think they can't reinvent anything anymore, you know, reinvent. But we have so many reference and beautiful things that we have by photos or by our feelings. Like I told that moments with my mom, right? I think now that kind of professional, of course, has to study a lot about the text at first, the new products, but has to feel involved by this magic, because this magic, you can watch more movies, you can read more books, even books. Sometimes when I read a book, I can imagine that person, you know.
Talking about the inspiration, what was the last movie that inspired you from the professional point of view? When you was like, oh wow.
In a opposite way, it's crazy, but Hamnet inspired me a lot, you know.
I was just thinking about the because it's so natural, but I was thinking, oh my God, how many tones of makeup on them, but you never can tell. This is so organized.
The truth of her face, you know, because I think in some point, anyway, I launched 4 books, but the last one was a Black Beauty inspiration, all black figures in the book. But the other one, 25 years career, one director, very important in Brazil. I worked with her many times in TV series. She said in some point in the beginning of the 2000, when become digital, the images, right? She said that the close-up doesn't make sense for her anymore, because before that, in the analogic time, when the director decide or the cinematographer decide to go very close to the face, all the feelings they could show in the films, all the feeling of the characters, right? But after the digital, you could see the makeup, you know, on the top of the face, the mascara and the powder. And she said in some point when she decided to go very close to the actors, "Oh my God, I don't want to see that, you know. I want to see that feeling."
Too much was revealed.
Exactly. And when she started to work with me, because I didn't have so many products that time to work for digital, you know, capture. It was, I think, only Makeup Forever, maybe Criolan, but it's in the beginning of that researches, you know.
The makeup industry had to adapt their products for the digital era of
But
imagery.
yeah, absolutely.
Yes. So, Fernanda, do you have any tips for artists that are entering this field now? Like what habits or perspectives they should start building earlier on their career?
Yes, I think so. Of course, everyone has his story, right? But everyone has his own background. But something that they think that they have to understand, that's not the only now it's not only about their works, the result of their works, you know, pictures or films, or is about them as a professional. Is a full circle.
It goes back to being respectful, as you mentioned in the beginning of the conversation.
Exactly. Because in the beginning, that's something that I decided very early in my career, especially in Brazil, because you guys call beauty artists, right? Makeup artist, hairstylist. In Brazil, is maquiador. It's like somebody who does makeup. It's not an artist who work with makeup, you know?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, absolutely.
And my mother, I did the University of Design, and just even in the beginning of my school, my university, as I started to work with photography to understand more about the light, right? and with makeup, doing the makeup and my colleagues and the school. And in some point, I decided to stay in Rio de Janeiro, and I had some opportunities to work as a makeup artist because I have drawing all my life, and faces mixing actually. And some point I said to my mom, "Oh, I think I will work as a makeup artist." And no, you don't have to do that. I'm very worried because it's something that in Brazil the people doesn't respect. It's a kind of profession that the people doesn't respect. And since I start to work, somebody who can make somebody beautiful or somebody who can be beside somebody important, hanging his bag, can you understand? And my mother said, "No, you are coming from a nice family. You are studying. You have so many ways to go." And I said, "No, don't worry, because the name in English is more appropriate. It's beauty artist, because I'm feel myself an artist. I'm not somebody who does makeup, And she said, "Okay, but in that time I started to go to TV shows, That's why I told to you that in 10 months as becoming a kind of personality." And she said, "It's not important to be famous or even to be rich. You have to be respect." So I understand that we are more than our work. We are artists, and we have respect ourselves, respect our work, and to project this to the others, And that's why the image and so many things are important now, especially because when I start, no, but now everybody can show your work in a global way by Instagram, by everything. And so that's why they have a more responsibility about their paths.
And I think that you mentioned that to be respected and to be an artist is so important. And I think that that's why we created that initiative of Flying Solo Fashion Awards. And once again, thank you very much for helping us, for supporting us. And this is our aim, is to connect creatives globally. And from your perspective, Fernanda, how important are these kind of opportunities for artists trying to grow as a professionalist?
No, I think it's very important. Of course, I'm living in a more, I'm devoting more my time to this experience, because in the beginning, I had so many things to do because I decided to work not only in fashion or advertising. I could work with operas, ballets, and soap operas and TV series. So, of course, fashion. And I decided to work with everything because that time I understand that if I have opportunity to learn how much more I learn, I will be more complete. And that's why I have a different career, And I was so lucky coming back to this point because I had the opportunity to work with global brands, like L'Oreal. In '97, I think they hired me an ambassador for Maybelline that was arriving in Brazil, and I couldn't understand very soon how to work with that global people,
You've built such a global career. For many artists that they're looking for this transition, it feels very unclear. What helped you move from a local presence to an international one to work with big name brands like L'Oreal and Maybelline, as you just mentioned?
Tiffany's.
I think the way that I work more than an artist, strictly to the point of the artist, and I think because very early I decided to have a voice, not only my work makes sense, I know he's very talented, to collaborate with us, he's very nice, very talented. No, very early I could work with a TV show. I had my own TV show for 8 years in a cable TV, like a makeover TV show, and since that TV show, I could understand also that I like people because I used to work with celebrities and models, and for me it was a kind of a full circle about my purpose, as a professional, and of course in life, because for me my work is my life, and I think because when you are more able to be in touch with people from everywhere, even doesn't speak a good English as me,
We
Yeah,
can
really good
perfectly
English.
understand
Yeah.
you.
You learn about life, not only about relations. And I think that always when I had opportunity, of course, I think smart people more hear than talk. For me, it is like that, especially the beginning of your career. You have to hear a lot, because of course, you will be more able to say nice things and good things. And in the beginning, I used to hear a lot and prepare my brain, to in some point, in some way, I be ready for every situation.
How important you see a strong visibility for the creative career today?
I think it's very important, very, very important. Depends what you want, right? If you want to be somebody that the people will talk about globally, of course, you have to work more, harder.
We know this word.
And I have to work in the way that I will project what I want to the people.
And I think that it's very important that you mentioned earlier that from the very beginning you need to observe, you need to educate yourself, and you need to build your own brand. And I think about artists and like makeup artists or hairstyle artists, it's very important to create your own individual way and vision. I think this is also one of the key solutions to be successful. And talking about fashion awards in general or any awards, Fernando, do you think recognition, like selected or being selected or awarded, changes how creative is pursued in the industry?
No, it's amazing feeling. It's amazing because
But besides the feelings, any credits or for the future?
because for me, I working. Of course, I learn a lot of things all the time, but I'm still living by my feelings, about everything. But I could won a few awards like here in Brazil. But something because I think when you won an award, I'm telling to you guys because we are in the middle of this situation now, right? Or you can be more smart to work with your career as another word.
To use that as an advantage.
Or you can be more stupid, being more uh, by ego, this kind of thing. And always when I want something, that give me an amazing feeling, but gave me more responsibility as a professional and as a person too. Because today we have to be able, we have our faults. Nobody's perfect, but we have to be able to inspire people, right? Especially today in that work. And so gave me more responsibility with me, with my path, but with the others, because the people has to understand, not because you can work with the colors, that has to understand why you could get this award, why you won this award, because you are studying, you are which kind of professional you are, the people I think the people are looking for this kind of reference today in the world.
So, Fernando, to finish, we have a quick few insights. Can you tell us one habit that every makeup artist should develop while being on set? Also, one mistake, for example, that immediately signals a lack of experience, besides what you already mentioned of being respectful and listening more than talking.
And don't have ego.
I think for me it's crazy. Since I decided to have more time to my clients, outside Brazil, I have to learn a lot because uh, usually, for example, I did a fashion show to Tiffany, a Blue Book, my first one with book. It was in Los Angeles with a team with maybe 40 people, makeup artists and hairstylists, and nail people. I didn't know nobody. It's only myself with God for sure. And before getting that room, I just breathe, and I just smile that day. And I say, "How are you? What's your name?" For each of these persons. How are you? What's your name? Thank you for being here. You are very important for me today. And I think when you are nice and in a natural way, for sure, the doors, I think, are open, and since that, everything was very nice. And I have worked with them for 3 years. I'm going to New York next month to do.
Fernando, thank you so much for sharing your perspective.
I'm a kind of crazy professional because everything for me is about inspiration, feelings. But I know how hard I work that time to be now who I am, And I'm very glad that we are together in this project. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. And we are happy that we are getting closer to the date and hope to see you soon as well. And we want to celebrate all creatives, and this is why we're doing that. And this initiative was created to give visibility and professional recognition to the creatives behind the fashion imagery.